The Thousand Sons are a legion of sorcerers and spectral warriors, and are the most favored mortal servants of the chaos god Tzeentch, the great conspirator, the architect of fate, the changer of the ways. Driven by an undying desire for vengeance, as well as an insatiable lust for arcane power and demonic knowledge, they launch their nightmarish wars against the forces of the Imperium. Whole swathes of real space are left burning in their wake, yet each battle is but a single step in a larger plan, a lone ripple in the corrupted stream of fate. Though the planet of the sorcerers is a world in constant flux, its inhabitants are governed by a strict order set in place by Magnus. The spectral remnants of the Legion's warriors, known as the Rubricae, reign over throngs of cultists, Zangors and mutated warp beasts, while above the Rubricae is the former bodyguard of the Crimson King, known as the Sekhmet. Raised above all of these is the Rehati, a coven of 9 exalted sorcerers and demon princes, who are favored by Tzeentch more than any other amongst the Thousand Sons, save Magnus himself. Fearless, remorseless, and utterly implacable, the Rubric Marines march to battle in gleaming ranks amidst clouds of eldritch energy. The eerie regularity of their footfalls is not a product of military drilling, but of the singular purpose to which all are bound. They are lifeless automata, the targets of the rubric of Ahriman, whose mortal bodies have long since been reduced to dust. Whether the souls of these warriors were eradicated entirely, or whether some small fragment continues to linger, not even the most powerful mystics of the Thousand Sons can say. But when they are unleashed upon the Legion's enemies, the spark of battle hunger returns, and the Rubricae fight with ruinous proficiency. The ancient prosperine armor that houses their essence bears little resemblance to its former appearance, having been melded over many centuries by the empiric powers of the warp. Where once their raiments were the embodiment of imperial might, they are now a testament to the will of Tzeentch. The articular servos and fiber bundles that give the interlocking ceramite plates movement are infused with sorcerous energy, providing the rubric marine with a semblance of animus. This same power coalesces around the armor, creating a protective shroud against incoming fire. Even those attacks that do manage to pierce the shell of a rubric marine have little effect, for they have no flesh to be torn by bolt or blade, and only by sundering the armor completely can they be taken down. When a rubric marine does fall in battle, the desiccated remnants of their corporeal form pour from the rents in their armor and are scattered to the wind. As such, many worlds have ancient battlefields that are seeded with the dust of rubric marines. Yet even dispersed, the warrior is not granted the release of oblivion. Should the fragments of their armor be collected and resealed, the essence of the rubric marine can be returned to its vessel to once again serve the Thousand Sons. The sorceries required to achieve such a rebinding are as dangerous as they are powerful. A single misspoken syllable can kill the intoner or drive them insane. But should the profane rituals be successful, the essence dust of the rubric marine will be drawn back to its prison. Many aspiring sorcerers amongst the Legion will perform these rites, and the most skilled can will the essence of a rubric marine to coalesce even if the dust of its body has been strewn across an entire planet or buried deep beneath the surface. Rubric marines are forever yoked to those who have entrapped them. An aspiring sorcerer who has gained control over a squad of rubric marines can direct them in battle as a puppeteer would operate a marionette. Often the aspiring sorcerer will use their enslaved soldiers as a bulwark against the enemy while they themselves work their dark magics. Should the aspiring sorcerer fall, the rubric marines continue to follow the path on which they have been set, killing and maiming until all before them have been obliterated. Like their armor, the weapons borne by rubric marines are twisted mockeries of imperial war gear. Their gunstocks are bedecked with ornate runes that writhe and mutate with shifting currents of empiric energy, and muzzles gape open and snap shut like the maws of unnatural creatures. The most common armament of the rubric marines is the Inferno bolt gun. The mass-reactive bolts they fire are charged with baleful, sorcerous energies that are released upon impact, shredding the armor, flesh and soul of those they strike. The Soul Reaper cannon is a heavier and even more devastating weapon, and despite its great bulk, a rubric marine can pour out a constant stream of fire without breaking their rhythmic stride. Some rubric marines march to battle armed with warp flamers. Though similar in appearance to the flamers used by other Chaos Legions, the warp flamers' gouts of fire burn through reality itself. Instead of simply incinerating that which they touch, the iridescent flames have a mutagenic effect. Matter engulfed by these flames is melted by searing heat before being fused back together in hideous configurations. Scarab occult terminators were once bodyguards to Magnus the Red. Like the others of their legion, all but a handful were reduced to dust by the rubric of Ahriman, and they now possess but a spectral shadow of their former intellect and ambition. However, as warriors they are more indomitable than ever. Their every action is geared towards the ruinous desires of those who control them, and what remains of their instinct is devoted solely to the destruction of their enemies. Like the rubric marines, Scarab occult terminators fight at the behest of a sorcerous master. Some of these masters were part of the Scarab occult at the time of Ahriman's mighty spell, and were robust enough of spirit and mind to resist its obliterative effects. Others are powerful mystics who have ascended the ranks of the Thousand Sons over many centuries and through twisted ingenuity earned a place amongst the vaunted Sekhmet. In either case, a Scarab occult sorcerer controls a nigh unstoppable force of warrior automata, capable of wading unharmed through masses of lesser enemy infantry. The armor in which the warriors of the Scarab occult are entombed is based upon pre-heresy Terminator armor. Each suit was a relic of the Legion, but even before their fall to Tzeentch was complete, the Thousand Sons had begun engraving their Terminator armor with profane inscriptions. This desecration continued after the Council of Nicaea, for the Scarab occult saw it as their duty to guard the forbidden knowledge their Primarch had collected. The rubric of Ahriman sealed each warrior inside his defiled armor permanently, locking the remnants of their souls for eternity with the idolatrous spell words they had etched. Over millennia of exposure to the warp, the true power of these etchings has blended with the essence of each warrior, creating in the Scarab occult a hellishly twisted warrior cabal. Their armor has retained much of its potency over the long centuries since their creation. Refractor field generators have become saturated with empiric energy, causing the air around them to writhe as incoming fire is deflected harmlessly. Each suit is also capable of withstanding the pressures of teleportation, allowing the warriors of the Scarab occult to emerge suddenly onto the battlefield through holes torn in reality. The ubiquitous weapon of the Scarab occult terminators is a cruelly curved blade based on the khopesh of ancient Prospero. The earliest khopeshes were forged from what scant pieces of precious metals could be found on the barren world, and were symbols of authority used to mete out punishment to those who disobeyed Prosperine laws. When the Thousand Sons Legion came to Prospero, the khopesh was adopted by the Scarab occult as the mark of their rank, and they were fitted with power field generators to allow them to cleave matter at a molecular level. Though the warriors of the Scarab occult are but ghosts of their former glory, the deadly speed and skill with which they wield their blades in close quarters has remained ever potent.